In this video, I'm going to go through some rectangular distribution questions. The resource where these questions are taken from can be found on Connect. I recommend that if you want to have a go at some of the questions before I go through them, that you pause the video and have a go and then check with my solution straight afterwards. So the first question is actually question number 2. And here we've been given a rectangular from 0 to 40. So the first question is asking about what's the maximum. So it's just interpreting what that 0 to 40 actually means. So 40 minutes, why minutes? Because later on in the question it refers to minutes as well. So it's a natural assumption. The first question I'm referring to here in part B is the probability that OC is stuck in traffic between 15 and 30 minutes. So what you do is you subtract the gap between 15 and 30, which in this case is 15, and 15 out of 40 is 0.375. So that's a straightforward question. Let's do some more. So if we have a look at question 3 here, this is referring to temperature of a house. Now we know the coldest temperature recorded in the house is 19 and the warmest temperature is 25. Now we're assuming that this can be modelled as a rectangular, i.e. it's uniformly distributed, it's equally spread between those two temperatures. Again, we're being asked for 20.3 to 23, so we work out that's a gap of 2.7 out of the overall gap 6. And if we type into our calculator 2.7 divided by 6, that comes out at 0.45, I believe. The resource has an answer of 9/20th, so that's why I've simplified that as well. In part B, it refers to if it's over 24.5, an alert will sound on Paul's phone. So let's work out the probability of getting an alert. So that's the probability of above 24.5. Above 24.5. I've forgotten the 0.5. So actually that's only an interval of 0.5. If you subtract 24.5 from 25, that's only 0.5 out of the interval 6. Yes, that simplifies to a 12th, which I think is the answer in the resource, but as a decimal, that's 0.0833 to 3 significant figures. So the key thing is the gap that you're told in the question out of the overall gap. Just keep it nice and simple. Let's try another one. Let's try question 4. This one's got an asterisk to it. So just a reminder, if you want to have a go at the question before I go through it, pause the video now. Okay, 1.38 or lower. So actually we're going to go from the 1.38 down to the 1.2. So if you subtract 1.2 from your 1.38, that is a gap of 0.18. Yeah, 0.18. Out of an overall gap, 1.5 subtract 1.2, which is 0.3. That simplifies to 0.6. or 3/5 or 60%. But part B refers to Lassie taking 1.8, I'm assuming I've pronounced that correctly, Lassie's time being 1.8 minutes or lower for 2 consecutive races. So that's race number 1 and race number 2. The clue here is and. So the first race and the second race. So we're going to multiply 0.6 by itself. Yes, 0.6 squared. That would also achieve what we're after. We could do that for 3 races, we could do it for 4, 5, 6, we could do it for quite a few more races where we said all of them are 1.38 or lower. We could do it for combinations, we could do it from a set of 10 races. What's the chances that they do 1.38 or lower for exactly 7 of those 10? And that really is actually a binomial, which is quite a common answer at the end of a rectangular. Let's have a go at 5. Two asterisks to this one. It's quite a fair bit going on. You've actually got 2 rectangles in this because you're talking about drink being a rectangular, but also protein as well. So if you want to have a go at this question, pause the video now. Otherwise, here's my solution. So if we look at water, that's a gap between 1 and 3, so that's a gap of 2. And part A, straightforward, 1.7 and 2.84. So if we do a subtraction there, that's actually 1.14. So 2.84 subtract 1.7 is actually 1.14. And that's out of the gap of 2, which is 57%, 0.57. Now, part B is actually really, really interesting. I'm glad I've got a chance to talk about it. You see how it says given that? And as soon as we come across a given that, we're thinking, right, okay, our denominator has changed because the what we're selecting from has been reduced. So the information that's been given, I've used the mathematical symbol here for given that x is above 1.5, because Zulma has drunk at least 1.5 already. They've drunk 1.5, so the total for the day is more than 1.5. If I'd put equals, it's exactly the same. So from what's left over now from 1.5, that reduces it from a gap of 2 to actually a gap of 1.5. And the question is, what's the chances of more than 2 overall? So 2 to 3 is a gap of 1. Out of the new denominator, 1.5 instead of 2. Because of that pesky given that. 3 take away 2 is 1, so 1 out of the 1.5, that simplifies to 2/3, yes, or as a decimal, 0.667 to 3 significant figures. So given that, make sure your denominator changes. Okay, we're on to protein now, so that's a gap of 25. 70 take away 45 is 25, 50 to 65 is 15, 15 out of 25 is 60%, 0.6. Part D, another asterisk, but this one here has the keyword and. So drinking between 1.7 and 2.84 litres of water, so that's your answer to part A, and eats between 50 and 65 of protein, and that's your answer to part C. So part A times part C, because that word and, the answer to part A was 57% and C was 60%, which I think comes out to 0.342. So multiplying those two together because of and, both scenarios have to happen. We're assuming that those two events are independent. If two events are independent, we can multiply for and. And yeah, I think that's a good question to finish off. Hope you found this video useful. A lot of people have requested rectangular distribution. Hoping to do some more questions in the future. Best luck in your revision, and of course, always ask your tutors for help. Cheers.